All right, so in this video, I'm going to tell you how to go from like 15 to 20% body fat down to 10 to 12% body fat and how to stay there, okay? Because if you're trying to build that lean, defined, athletic swimmer's body, not turn into a fucking bodybuilder, it's a different route you need to take. And you need to approach this first phase of your transformation in quite a specific way. So the way that we do it is essentially by eating more. And I know you're thinking, Sam, what the fuck? But let me explain. It sounds counterintuitive, but it works every time, just like it works for our clients here, you know, like you keep posting loads of different transformations, but you get the idea. Now, you're kind of in a position where people would look at you and say, you're not overweight. And it's true, you're probably not overweight, but that's why it's so difficult from here, okay? And that is why you can't treat this like a cut, okay? Because a cut is usually what you do when you're bulking and cutting and you accumulate a lot of fat, and maybe you have done that and you're realizing it was a mistake. But ultimately, if you don't have that much fat, you have to approach losing it a lot more carefully. Otherwise, you won't fucking lose it at all. Okay. Now, you want to get lean, you want to see your abs, but you don't have that much fat to begin with. So what we do with all our clients, and the reality you need to face, is that you're actually going to have to eat more. And I know it sounds weird, but basically, the leaner that you are to start with, so you're maybe, 16% body fat, right? Like I was here. It has to go slower. You have to lose fat more slowly, because before you go away and think, oh no, I don't want to take it too slow, like I just want it to happen. Do you want it to go slowly, or do you not want it to happen at all? Because those are your options. If you try to do this too quickly, bad things will happen, including you giving up. And if somehow you don't, you'll lose all your muscle. So you have to go slowly, the leaner that you are. Whether or not that's how you like it, it doesn't fucking matter. It's just the way it is. It's the way your body works, right? So you need to eat more, and therefore you need to put yourself in a smaller calorie deficit to lose that last bit of fat. Now, I used to believe really, really firmly that I couldn't get shredded. Or not shredded, because that's not really what we're going for, but that I couldn't get really lean down to 10 to 12%. And then I was just like, why is that? Well, part of it was a limiting belief because I'd never been that lean before. But the other reason was I just hadn't done a deficit for long enough. I just hadn't tried to lose the fat for long enough before. And the reason that I hadn't tried to do it long enough before is because every time I would get to a certain point, it would get too difficult. I would get too hungry. My energy would be too low. I'd mess it up because I was trying to do it too fast. Okay, so you need to eat in a very small deficit. Now, with our clients, we call this a reset phase. This is not a cut. Please don't think that it is. A traditional cut will put you in maybe a 500 to 600 calorie deficit, if not more, because most people try to do it so quickly. And that's okay if you have a lot of fat to lose, because your body, the more fat you have, is very, very up for getting rid of it. But then as it starts to get towards the sort of 15% for men, it starts to think, hold the fuck on. We might need this for survival purposes, right? And so your body starts fighting back, making you hungry, making you low on energy, crashing your hormones. You'll lose your sex drive. You'll get weird cravings you never have. Your sleep will suck. All this stuff is happening because your body is freaking out. Okay? So when you do get to that sort of 16% body fat, okay, or if you're starting there, your deficit honestly needs to be, I would say, 250 to start with. Okay, now, the reason I say that is because just like people do when they bulk, you're probably underestimating your calories a little bit. And when people eat in a deficit, a lot of the times people end up eating a much bigger deficit than they anticipate, because they exercise a lot as well, and they do running, and they do all this shit that just increases their deficit so much more than they actually expect, which leads to the cravings, the hunger, the muscle loss, right? So start with a small deficit, and then you're going to weigh yourself every single day. You're going to take an average, and you're going to see how your average weekly weight is responding. Now, don't be put off if there isn't even much of a difference in the weight readings between weeks. Obviously, we do want to see it go down, but because you're not eating in a huge deficit, you could be building some muscle. It happens quite a lot to our clients who especially are a couple of years into lifting, maybe even a year only, because your body is still very new to that process, okay? What you want to be looking at as a primary metric, KPI if you want, is how you look in the mirror. And how you look in the same mirror, with the same lighting, with the same outfit, at the same time of day, same place. That's how you know if it's working, because you will see the fat going, okay? Now, that's basically what you're going to do. You're going to head to caloriecalculator.net. I've made loads of videos on this, so I'm not going to do it right now. But you go in, you put in your details, and it's going to give you 3 options for weight loss. Okay, it's going to give you mild weight loss, and I think extreme weight loss. The bottom 2, ignore them for now. Start with mild. Put it into MyFitnessPal. Track everything accurately. And you also need to think about your steps, how many steps you're going to do, how many workouts you do. But that's covered when you start using the calculator. For the first time, you putting in your details and your activity level, okay? But you need to be data driven and see what happens with your body and how it actually fucking looks in the mirror, because remember, that's what you're optimizing for, okay? It's not about the number on the scale. You want to look confident with your shirt off. So see how you look with your shirt off. Like, people complicate this so much, okay? So that is what you need to do if you're not that fat, but you need to lose that little bit of fat. You want to lose that little bit of fat, which you should do if you're trying to build a lean athletic physique. The fat has to go. And once you've gotten rid of it, it's gone. You're not going to gain that fat back again so long as you do this properly, right? Now, to make the reset phase a little bit easier on yourself, because not going to lie, it gets hard. You're still in a deficit. Once you get under 15% body fat, it's going to start getting challenging. You're going to feel a lack of energy. You're going to feel slow. Your sleep may suffer. You'll have hunger. I'm not going to say that shit isn't going to happen. It's just going to be more manageable because you haven't been too extreme to start with, right? So, some ways that I like to counter that feeling, and the ways that we help our clients do it, is eat more satiating foods. So you need to be very careful about the things you're eating. You could lose that fat by eating nothing but McDonald's and chocolate, but it would be really stupid. It would be stupid because those foods are calorie dense and not that filling. What that means is you end up eating a lot of calories, but you don't feel like you have. This is why everyone's fat, okay? A lot of fatty foods, a lot of processed foods, high in calories, not satiating. So you don't feel full, but you've eaten a lot of calories, okay? So what you need to do is reverse that. And instead, you need to eat foods that are low in calories, but are, relatively speaking, filling or more filling, okay? Things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, fruit and vegetables. These things are fucking filling, but they don't have that many calories in them. Partly because there's a lot of water in these things, and you can boil like potatoes. That is a really good way to feel full without having had that many calories. So you need to focus on doing things like that. And that's going to help you just get through this. The next thing is eat more protein than you need. So people say you don't even need 1 gram per pound in your current body weight of protein. I think it's a good number to aim for. But honestly, when I'm in a reset phase, I eat 1.5 grams per pound of my current body weight in protein. So I might eat more than 200 grams of protein a day just because it helps me feel full. And that is the thing with protein. Okay, actually there are 2 things with protein. It helps you feel fuller, so you're less likely to overeat, you're less likely to get cravings, you're less likely to be thinking about food. But also, protein actually requires the most energy from your body to digest. And I'm not going to get into the science and details of it, but just think about it like this. I'm trying to think of a good example now. Eating protein is kind of like driving a sports car. It burns through fuel just using it. I don't know if that's a good analogy. Okay. Whereas processed food is like driving a Prius. Okay. It doesn't take much fuel to run that. Okay. It's very energy efficient. Protein, when you eat protein, your body is like, fuck, like this is quite intense. We need to digest this and break it down. And breaking it down and digesting it actually burns calories. So you burn calories for free by doing nothing but eating protein. Sounds pretty good, right? So that's why you should eat more protein than you need. And it obviously helps maintain and grow any muscle in the process. No brainer, eat more protein. Now, when it comes to meal timing, a lot of people think little and often, and that's fine. That may work for some people. And then some people preach intermittent fasting. Remember, none of this shit matters. Like, so many people are obsessed with dieting strategies and dieting protocols or cutting out carbs. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. It's about the calories going into your body and the calories being burnt. That balance will dictate whether or not you lose fat. It's simple. That's all that matters. And the truth is that it will vary depending on the person, what works best. Really, your key priorities should be keeping you satiated throughout your day. So if you find it easier to skip breakfast and have a bigger lunch and a bigger dinner because that helps you just mentally with food, and you like eating big meals like me, do it. It doesn't matter. And it makes absolutely no difference if you were to take the same amount of calories or food and spread them into smaller meals over the day. Mind-blowing to some people, but guess what? It doesn't fucking matter. All right? So I think for me personally, like at the start of the reset, I do a bit of intermittent fasting and I skip breakfast because I do naturally like bigger meals. But then when I start getting lean down to sort of 14% body fat and it gets tougher for me, I will spread out my meals more because I'm hungrier more often and I'm thinking about food more often and I need energy more often. You just have to listen to your body, okay? So there's a lot of strategy in going from not that fat to lean, as you can see. Because when you're fat, no offense, it's a lot easier to lose it because your body wants you to, right? And it's just easier to do that. Like you have so much excess energy on your body in the form of fat that your body is going to be like, yep, cool, let's lose it, we're good. But when you're in that 15 to 20% body fat range, you feel fat, but everyone else doesn't think you're fat and you're not overweight, technically, it's a lot more strategic. So follow those things, all right? Take it slowly, not that much of a deficit, eat more satiating foods, eat way more protein than you need. It's only going to help you. And then whatever you need to do to spread out your meals in the day or increase how big certain meals are over others, that's up to you. It doesn't fucking matter. Okay? And there are people that will convince you that it does, but it doesn't. And by the way, no, you don't need to cut out carbs. That's bullshit. All right? In fact, definitely don't, because as you get leaner and leaner, you're going to need them more and more because they're your body's primary source of energy. It's the easiest source of energy for your body are carbohydrates, so bread, potatoes, vegetables, fruit. So don't cut them out. They will not affect your fat loss. They will not stop you losing fat. Remember, calories in versus calories out. That is literally fucking all that matters. And if you haven't seen the fat loss, if you haven't got as lean as you want, if you haven't lost the skinny fat yet, the truth is that you just haven't tried for long enough. And the reason you haven't tried for long enough is because you can't bear it, because you're trying to do it too quickly. Simple. It really is that simple, okay? It's a completely different game when you're already quite lean by most people's standards. And if you're trying to get really lean, which you should be before you start trying to build muscle for the long term, it just takes a different approach, which is this. Now, I'll give you a little bit of insight in terms of what we do next. Okay, so when we take our clients down to 10 to 12% body fat, some of them have been bulking before and they realize it's not for them. They realize it's not how they actually want to look and they realize they look and feel worse than they did when they started. Some people have just kind of felt skinny fat their whole lives, haven't really tried to do anything about it, and they're just kind of in that position where they're not holding loads of body fat, but there definitely is a bit of a belly, a bit of a gut. Once we get them down to 10 to 12% body fat, maybe build a little bit of muscle on the way, they look great, okay? They look fucking great, and it's fantastic. But ultimately, we don't stop there, because what we need to do from that point is then start very carefully and again in a data-driven way, up your calories so that we achieve the perfect balance to build muscle and give your body that extra energy to do that without piling on the fat. Because again, energy in versus energy out. Your body benefits from having extra calories to help with building muscle and strength. You give it more than it needs to do that, those extra calories will simply be put away for later as fat. This is how your body works. Sorry, I'm getting so passionate, my voice is cutting out. This is how your body works. So the way that we do this is we taper your calories up. And what I mean by that is with our clients, we will increase your calories by 100, probably literally only 100, if that, per week. We're taking a weight reading every single day and we're taking a weekly average. We're then looking at the weekly average as well as your body measurements, as well as your photos in the mirror every week. And we're seeing, okay, when is the tide beginning to shift? When are we starting to see you fill out more? When is your weight starting to gradually move? And when we see those indicators and when we combine them and see that all of the indicators are indicating that you are approaching maintenance or maybe a little bit over maintenance, we put the brakes on and we see how it plays out for a few weeks. This is called the taper phase. And once we've got through the taper phase and seen that change happen, we stick at those calories, we stick at that activity level, and then we kind of say we're in the build phase. Now, the build phase is not a bulk, because to be honest, we're at maintenance 50, 100 above, 200 max, right? Then we're going to see what happens with your body, because we want to see you gain muscle, but we don't want to see fat come up too. If we start seeing fat gain or the scale move too quickly and it's just very evident in the mirror, either you're not tracking your food properly, your activity has drastically reduced for some reason, or you're just at completely the wrong calories, but that wouldn't happen unless you don't really know what you're doing. Am I even in focus? I think I am now. So that's basically the procedure. And if your weight begins to flatline again, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because it might just be that you're losing a bit of fat, still gaining a bit of muscle, but the scale isn't reflecting it. Guys, remember, photos are what matter, okay? So that's kind of an overview of what you're going to do if you feel skinny fat and you have a little bit of fat that you want to lose, right? And that's how you're going to build an athletic body. And then once you have lost that fat, it's then just a case of very slowly building and chipping away at building muscle. Because the truth is that this is a long-term process. It takes fucking time. And if you don't want to give it the time it takes, you won't get it. You will not get it. And I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. You can't expedite it. Your body works on biology, not your preference. So you have to take it slow and treat it with the respect it deserves if you want the body that you're trying to get here. And that's just how it is. Now, action steps from here, if you actually want to do something about it, is start with that reset phase, drop your calories using the calorie calculator very slightly, take all the data points and see what happens. You're going to lose that fat if you stick at it for long enough and you're honest and truthful about how accurate you're being with your food, okay? That's what you need to do, and it will just work. Stay off social media. The majority of the advice on there is designed to trick you into thinking that there's a quick route. Guess what? The shortcut is doing this. It's doing the basics right and staying on top of the numbers. That's it. Again, there's no secret strategy you don't know about. There's no secret workout you don't know about. Like, I haven't even mentioned the gym once, really, because it doesn't fucking matter. The gym is relatively simple in this process. You just show up, you lift heavier the next week, or you do more reps. It's called progressive overload, but that's it. You do some runs, do some cardio in there, make sure you're tracking it. But other than that, that's the kind of the physical side done. It's pretty much all to do with what you're putting in your mouth. All right, so that's what you need to do. Now, the truth is that I've given you, again, everything you need to know here. I have nothing to hide from you. But I can say all this stuff and it doesn't harm me or my business, because the truth is that 90% of you are probably going to have watched this video, and I'm grateful that you're still here, but not do anything about it. Because it's hard to do it. It's hard. Not because it's complicated, but because it's emotionally demanding. It's physically demanding. And you're going to have that voice in your head all the time, questioning whether you're doing it right, questioning if it's working, questioning if there's something that you could be doing better. Okay? And that's why you can get one-to-one coaching from us, and we will build out an entire program for you based on what you tell us you want, so it actually works. So that way, you're not questioning whether it works, you feel confident in what you're doing, you actually see the changes happen, you actually get the body that you want instead of doubting yourself and giving up. It's the accountability and support, it's the implementation that you probably don't have, okay? Because the truth is, fitness is simple, getting the body you want is simple, but there's so much noise and bullshit out there that most people don't get the body that they want. That's why it's hard. So if you want that accountability and you want that support, and if you want us to help you implement everything I've spoken about, you can click the link below. You can apply for one-to-one coaching, get on the call with me or one of my team, and if we're a good fit, we can take it from there and show you what it would look like, okay? But again, you can do this yourself if you really want to, but if you know that you won't, you can click the link below. And other than that, I hope it helped you. Just comment if you want any types of videos or anything explained. To give you an overview, I've been doing this for 6 or 7 years. I've been going to the gym 6 or 7 years. I'm very happy with where my body is at. People say, Sam, you're not big enough. I don't give a fuck. I'm happy with where I've got my body to. Okay, and I feel like I got it. lean, defined, athletic, the swimmer's body. And that is what I'm trying to help other guys achieve. And I call it Project Gain because it's about gaining things, not just confidence, not just the body you want, but the lifestyle and the productive habits and routines and the mentality that comes with it. It's a lifestyle elevation, really. And if that's appealing to you, again, you can click the link below. But do just drop any ideas or questions you have about the process and our phases or whatever you want. It can be technical too, because I'm happy to make videos around it. So yeah, as always, subscribe if you want more unfiltered, no bullshit fitness advice for how to actually just build a body you feel confident in. Yeah, cool. Nice one. I'll post again soon.